So first off, Lucinda Faucher is a head of product mentor, founder and host of the Prodbox podcast. She's a mentoring and consulting person who works with individuals and organizations to help them achieve their product and growth goals with a mix of coaching, mentoring, and support to implement best practices and customer-centric product-led processes grounded in creativity, innovation, and collaborative working. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's great to be here. So good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. I'll just go ahead and share my screen here and kick off. Fantastic. So hopefully you can all see that. As Scott mentioned, I'm a consultant and mentor, and I spend a lot of my time helping organizations strive to becoming product-led. So today I'll be talking about driving a successful product-led transformation. So the majority of my experience has been spent mostly in the B2B space, typically in small to medium-sized SaaS enterprise organizations in a number of different industries, from health to legal to financial services. And these organizations have typically generated between 20 to 70 million pounds in annual recurring revenue. And they've existed both in the private equity space, so they're private equity backed, but also publicly listed. But all of these organizations had a desire to scale their business, to increase revenue, and some with acquisition hopes, but overall a desire for growth. And some of these organizations had been operating for a long time, so weren't considered your typical startup. So although these organizations operated in different industries and were of varying sizes, with some similarities here and there was one common thread, and that was a desire to become product-led. And that is what connected them all. But what does it actually mean to be product-led? And how did these companies know that they were not product-led? So let's dive into some of the problems. So a lot of these discussions often centered around these common problems or key areas where change was needed. So if these resonate with you in any way, it could indicate that your organization may be tilting towards sales or service-led, or might actually be fully sales or services led. So for example, no clear vision and no clear strategy. So this indicates that you're really unclear about the direction that the business is going in, and maybe the direction that the product is going in also. Maybe no clear segmentation or clear ICP. Typically in B2B businesses, you see ICPs generated. So it actually focuses your customer facing teams on whom we want to engage about our product. But if you don't have any clear segmentation, then really you're unclear about who the product is for. Unclear on the problem that you're solving. If you're unclear on the problem that you're solving, then you're not really focused on delivering value to your customer, but focusing closing sales, for example, because that is what's driving the what. Your roadmap, your backlogs are focused on how do we close the next opportunity, but not really focused on how are we delivering value to our customer. You might be focused on sales and services targets alone. So everything that you're striving to work towards is revenue focused, but you're forgetting about delivering value. You may be delivering very highly customized configurable software and therefore have many different versions of a product. This also links in with not having a clear vision or strategy and essentially creating bespoke products for each of your customers. Essentially, the existence of those problem areas will manifest day to day within your product team. So for example, you might be only prioritizing your roadmap or tactical backlog according to the size or proximity of the next opportunity. So you're really prioritizing opportunity size over long-term value or potential long-term value, dependent on the data that you're gathering. And this could mean that you're building features that might not solve a clear problem or deliver clear value, and shows that your teams are actually focused on being output driven rather than striving to achieve outcomes. And a result of that is no measure of success. So you're implementing these features with no way of measuring the success of them, the desired outcomes, which means the value is unclear. And in these environments, it may be harder to navigate these animals too. And I know, shout out to Product Board for this graphic here, and we've all encountered or navigated around these animals within the product management space. So working in this way will be hard to navigate, particularly the really high value opportunity, because it will be hard to have conversations about what not to do if you're unclear of the direction that you're going in, as well as many of these conversations that we have in this arena will be difficult to combat against if we're not really clear on what or why we're doing what we're doing. So it's really unclear on our direction and the value that we try to deliver. And our roadmap may be defined based on the conversations that we have with this group of people if we're in that type of environment. So what are the indicators that an organization is product-led or on the journey to be? So for me, really positive indicators start at the bottom of this triangle. So we have clear vision and strategy. So from a business perspective, we're really clear on our business vision and what we're trying to achieve there. It's really inspirational. The teams can gather around it. We are really clear on our business strategy, and we have a clear and aligned product strategy to our business. And if we look at how we execute strategy, this is also reflected in our tactical roadmap and how we prioritize our backlogs. So we're really understanding why we're doing what we're doing, and we're able to articulate that to the business in order to gain alignment. This is also clear if you have your segments identified. So if we have our strategy, we usually understand, okay, whom we're building this product or service for, with a focus on the problem or value areas the product solves for them. And this ensures that you are constantly delivering value and are clear on the outcomes that you are trying to achieve, because you're focused on the problem and you're striving towards that outcome. Another good indicator is also when teams have a continuous discovery approach. So you're consistently validating your problem and opportunity space, working towards those outcomes, and iterating and pivoting if the discovery leads you down a different road. Maybe it will lead you to reevaluate your product strategy, but you're consistently validating your problem space with success metrics defined from a product and business perspective to ensure that value is delivered for both. And encompassing all of this is an alignment to your business goals and an alignment throughout the organization. If we're clear on the direction that we're going in, who our products are for, and we're clear on the outcomes that we're trying to achieve, then we can really gain alignment from the organization and buy-in, because we're all striving towards the same goals. And this is where you implement successful OKRs throughout the business, because this should also be aligned and will help teams become aligned throughout the organization or your stakeholders to a clear business vision, strategy, product strategy, and through our OKRs as well. So in summary, on the product-led side, we have a clear and focused product strategy. It's aligned to the business strategy. There is clear investment into the continuous user research and discovery. We are focused on creating unique value within your product's strategic landscape, focused on outcomes, and you have success metrics defined. But on the sales or services-led side, you're focused on converting prospects to customers, and this is possibly informing your product strategy, your roadmaps, and your backlogs. And it will be difficult to say no to your high-value accounts or customers because you don't have the data to combat against those conversations. And as mentioned earlier, revenue metrics are typically the only measure of success. And it's not to say revenue metrics are not important, they absolutely are. But if we look on the product-led side, we have revenue metrics form part of our lagging metrics, just particularly in the SaaS world, like lifetime value, customer acquisition costs. We either measure ARR or MRR, but we also have and look at our product success metrics. So how successful are we at delivering value to our customers? And are we achieving the outcomes that we set out to achieve with what we're delivering to them? So coupled those metrics with our revenue and lagging metrics will give us the fuller picture, but only really half of the picture on the sales side. So is it easy to transform the business? Well, it's not simple change. I don't want to say, no, it's not easy, but it's not simple. It isn't a change that can happen overnight or instantly. It takes a lot of time, effort. It does require an organizational mindset shift. And this is difficult because the main source of change is not just about process or team restructuring or organization. You are encountering people. People who react differently to change. They may have many different personalities and will require perseverance at times, and at times sensitivities, but it all centers around a real cultural and environmental shift to alignment and actually cross-collaboration and working together to achieve the same goals. So where do you start? So firstly, take stock. Where is the organization on the journey so far? Have attempts been made to pivot previously? What has or is working well? What's been tried before? What didn't work so well? It's important to gather as much knowledge and learning as you can in order to drive forward change and really understand where you are and define the goals of where you want to get to. And that will help you to kind of see the journey ahead. Buy-in from senior leadership. Now, buy-in from senior leadership or the highest levels of the organization is super important because it can't just be you alone as a product manager or a product leader in a team, and you really want to pivot towards a customer-centric way of working or a product-led way of working with just you alone. Of course, you can absolutely try, but buy-in from senior leadership will help you to gain alignment through the rest of the organization. But it's not just buy-in from senior leadership that counts. It's a true desire and willingness to change and to support change and invest in that decision is super important. Education and upskill. So education is key here, as there also needs to be an understanding of what it means. What does it mean to want this change throughout the business? What outcomes should the business expect from this pivot to product-led and a customer-centric way of working? Does it change our proposition, for example? How do we position our product and to whom? How do we pivot our product strategy, for example? How do we assess our product roadmap? Do we need to have discussions around it? It's really important to start that education journey if you want to really drive a successful product-led transformation. Start small, so finding a bright spot. I rarely see big bang approaches work in these scenarios, but working to implement a solid foundation and create a clear plan of action will set you in good stead. And if you can, start small. So if you've got a new proposition that you're working on, then actually maybe we're going to do more discovery around it. Maybe we're going to make sure that we build success metrics and we're striving towards outcomes. Maybe there's a product that you have that's in life and you're not really understanding whether you're delivering clear value. Let's have a look at the metrics ecosystem that we're building for that product. There's always a way that you can start small and build out from there, especially to show the benefits of working in such a way. Understand your stakeholders. So understand who your stakeholders are, what their needs are, and clearly articulate what is needed from them. So ensure that you're taking them on the journey, and this enables you to start creating alignment throughout the organization, find the sensitivities, manage them closely. Stakeholder maps sometimes work well for this, but it's about figuring out what they need to feel comfortable, because our customer facing stakeholders will need to feel comfortable that we are working on the right things, but we need to have that open conversation with them about why we're doing what we're doing, and they need to input into that too. Be clear on the benefits. So as part of that openness and conversation, it's important to be clear on the current challenges that you're facing and the benefits of pivoting to product-led for the business. Maybe a lot of the features you're working on, nobody's actually using them. Maybe the adoption is super low. You need to start solving the right problems. Maybe you're working on the wrong problems. Maybe actually you need to review your product strategy. Do we have the right approach? It's really good to be clear on the current challenges to help you solidify why you want to work in such a way. Creating a clear communication plan and feedback approach is important for transparency. So implementing a regular cadence for check-ins and giving your stakeholders the opportunity to feedback is important. Maybe something's not working quite right. Maybe they feel some of their customer voices are not being heard. Maybe they feel like our strategy is missing something. Giving that forum, or creating that open forum for your stakeholders to feedback to you is super important, and it will help to embed the way of working as normality. Clear on outcomes and success metrics. So clarity on your business and product outcomes with clear success metrics helps your teams to stay on track and keep aligned. So I know there might be some of your stakeholders who might use a backdoor, talk to your engineering teams to try and squeeze some features or functionality in that we absolutely maybe don't want to do, but having our clear outcome set and success metrics defined, it actually empowers and engages our teams, and they know exactly why they're working on what they're working on and the value that it's being delivered. So they're able to have those conversations if you encounter stakeholders trying to find the back door. So understand the problem deeply. So this is super important because you need to build a deep understanding of your customers, the problem and the context around it. It's important to gather and analyze data surrounding your customer needs, your pain points, preferences, the market, competitors, as this will inform the product strategy and the areas that deliver the most value and helps the business to become aligned towards a common goal. And of course, it creates clarity around why we're doing what we're doing. And it's important to work towards a customer-centric way of working. And one way you can do this is implementing a continuous discovery approach. And this process really focuses you and your teams and the business around validating key customer outcomes. You can build hypotheses to validate. It really hones in on the problems and opportunities to help you achieve those outcomes, and that will set you on a journey to becoming really customer-centric focused. It's also an important step to take your internal stakeholders with you as you pivot, share learnings and data to ensure transparency. So include them in your discovery workshops, maybe your interviews, maybe you're running focus groups, help them to see the bigger picture, how you're trying to elicit that data, that information to really evolve your strategy, really evolve the problem space that you're working on or the opportunities, and help them to kind of see the reasons why it's beneficial too. And this, of course, provides a lot of the data for the creation of your customer-focused roadmap, which is, of course, focused on outcomes that we're trying to deliver for our customers. So this will help to work to align the organization to the same customer-centric goals, and throughout the business will prevent inconsistencies in focus in what you're trying to achieve as a business. So if we are working on improving a customer experience of a product, it may start with how we position it, how we sell it, how we support it. So that journey runs from before the product, through the product, and after the product. So it's really helping to align the organization to being fully customer-centric and provide an increased and improved customer experience for a particular product. Take this chance to review the product proposition. Do you focus on key value areas? Do you have clear segments identified for your current focus? Are you adopting a value-based pricing approach? So are you actually figuring out what your customers value the most? And are you packaging your product accordingly? Are you adopting a customer success approach, for example, particularly in B2B, to ensure retention and adoption by unlocking that customer value? Ask and review, take this chance to review how you're positioning your product and what challenges you're facing. And maybe there are questions that need answering that you can start to work with your internal stakeholders to answer. Keep tracking and iterating the benefits. Share successes, insights along the journey, internally, externally, and this will also help to embed new ways of working. Be flexible. So check in what is working well. Are there challenges? Capture them, work through them, allow a regular cadence of feedback and reviews from your internal stakeholders so you can work through them and ensure that this journey continues. And lastly, create a space for innovation to explore new problems. So creating a space for innovation, experimentation can potentially unlock new and unique value areas. So this could be for your customers and for the business, but a discovery way of working, a continuous discovery way of working allows that exploration and allows that experimentation. And if you're working in a sales or services-led way of working, you tend maybe not to have as much time to do this, but try to create that space so you can unlock value for your customers. So whether you're PE-backed, public, VC-backed, we know revenue and growth are at the forefront of business expectation, but with real perceived value and a willingness to pay from the customer, revenue streams will be fruitful, but you will encounter some challenges along the way. So there will be discussions, hard discussions to have about revenue versus long-term value and growth. You may have a committed long-term roadmap with loads of committed customer items on it that might not be aligned with strategy. Have that conversation. Alignment can be difficult, so ensure you're creating that open space for discussion and solving challenges together in a collaborative environment, a collaborative, safe, supportive environment. Assess short-term customer impacts, ensure that you're not creating damage when you're going on this journey. It's all about trying to ensure a smooth sale of it, but you're bringing your customers with you as well. If you have a lack of support, or there might be internal politics, ensure that you get that buy-in from senior leadership. So to summarize and some takeaway points, your leadership team must understand the importance of the role they play in creating change. Investing in the product upfront is essential. Everyone in the organization is on the journey together. So alignment is super key. The products, the best products drive organic growth, as we know, as product people. So we need to invest in understanding what problems we need to solve in order to create them. People drive innovation, create culture and business value. So we need to invest in the right people, the right researchers in the team to enable us and support us on this journey. Being product-led is not a one-size-fits-all, So find the right solutions for you, try to solve the right challenges, really work through them and work together with your stakeholders to ensure what works best for the organization is implemented, and you will be successful. Thank you. And that is it from me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Lucinda. It was really, really great. I'm maybe curious on like a story of maybe your product journey where you've applied some of these wonderful tips that you shared. Maybe you can dive into something and give us a little insights into maybe something maybe recent, or maybe somebody you've been working with recently that's had this experience and how you've kind of helped them through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was working with a recent business, and I feel like when your organization is sort of sales or services led, a lot of the product team might lose a little bit of confidence because there really isn't an environment to encourage the teams to be innovative, experiment, to really hone in on the problems that they're trying to solve for their customers and really understand the value that they're trying to deliver. So really helping the organization and kind of running workshops of how do we define outcomes? How do we start to define metrics, and really giving or creating the environment to encourage the teams to actually go and do that discovery around the problems that we're trying to solve, really unlock the value, and which will also provide value for the business. So I think it's really important, I was working with these teams to help them to gain that confidence as well around how to build outcomes, build success metrics around them, and then drive forward growth, essentially, for the product, for the business, and show the business the actual benefits of working in that way. Because there's a lot of the times, if you don't, then you're building features and you just essentially become a feature factory, where you're delivering features, but you're not delivering much value.
Yeah, that makes sense. Tell me a little bit about like maybe what catalyzed these kinds of moments for you in your own career. What kind of moments maybe did you run into that were like the, I guess, the triggers for this kind of thinking to start to have to change maybe in the work that you do as a product person?
I think probably just seeing it done well, and then going into organizations and seeing it disasters happen. But also just a passionate thing for me is building products that people love, is building products that solve real problems. And I'm, as a product person, I've delivered things that have not quite worked. I've delivered things
Okay, we all have.
that have not quite worked, that hasn't delivered the value that we expected. I think we've all been there. I'll put my hands up. But it's really about seeing how well it works when you have great collaboration between the teams, when you have alignment with the goals that you're working towards, when everyone's really bought into that. It's a powerful thing, and you create some amazing products, and that's what I want to help organizations achieve.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Little question here I think that we can ask from our audience is, what's your advice for a young woman in the product management world?
Oh, be yourself. That is my advice.
Nice.
I think women in product, we're growing, which is fantastic. It's great. I mean, I started in product 13 years ago, and I think I was the only woman in little product and development team at the time. And then obviously we grew and hired more women. But absolutely be yourself. I think not every organization is for you. And I think realizing that is important, because you really don't want to sacrifice where you are being and your happiness to be in a place that doesn't support you, that doesn't encourage you. I think definitely know your worth as well. Don't stay somewhere where actually they're not, you're compromising your integrity or your values. Find a place that supports that for you, and you'll thrive, and you'll create amazing products, and you'll probably stay there for a long time.
That's
Be
awesome.
yourself. Definitely be yourself, and don't compromise your values or integrity, and find a supportive environment to work in. And there's loads out there. I just joined a business, actually, Valve Space, and they're a great team, really supportive, really keen on solving problems through product, which is fantastic. So find that space for you.
That's great. Sage advice. I really, really appreciate it. Awesome.